Hey guys, this is Joel, here with Menacing Studios. I'm here with
Connor,
Christian,
and today we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Kingpin of Time. So we're going to split this up into categories.
Categories.
Shut up. So, I mean, first let's give our thoughts and we're going to go through each category. What'd you think?
that shit was ass-a-roni, no lie. But it was good for a debut film.
I agree with him. Like, it wasn't terrible for probably 6th, 7th grader, middle schoolers' first film. It wasn't bad at all. Just a few things that could have been better that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was alright. I mean, nothing too special. I love what they were doing with the story and everything. But, again, 6th, 7th grade filmmakers, what more can you expect? Now, directing. What would you say about the directing?
I think some of the shots in the film were pretty creative, but overall it was kind of static, and there were some weird zoom out sometimes where it didn't seem like the cinematography was very rehearsed or anything. But cinematography fight-wise, the fights were choreographed very well.
Oh, the fights. Especially that stairwell scene where
the stairwell
with MJ punching Peter in this. Oh man, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the cinematography was good in a lot of scenes. I agree with you guys there. But I feel like in the directing view, because he probably also wrote the script as well, I feel like the script could have been better.
Yeah. Directing, I could see where the guy was going with this movie. Just a few little gripes, again. Script-wise, I think the story was pretty decent. I think that's one of the best parts of the movie. I mean, it felt kind of rushed at certain points. Very rushed.
We had no character development.
There was no character development.
It less so felt like a story and more so going from action to action, set piece to set piece.
To action. Right, exactly. I felt like they could have built on the characters a little bit.
Oh,
definitely. The one scene where Peter and MJ. So Peter goes into the future, 2099. He meets all these people: Miguel O'Hara, MJ, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and again, I wish there was more Daredevil, but I guess kind of like a cameo. But he meets MJ, and they kind of start having this relationship. But the relationship feels so underdeveloped. It's after he gets out of the the shape-shifting with Chameleon, and right there on the floor, Peter's like, I like you. I'm like,
It's okay, Peter. Just breathe. We'll get through this together. I promise.
I like you.
I do too, but right now we need to focus on the shapeshifter.
Man, it just seemed like you just got out of an illusion from Chameleon, and you're already telling this girl that you like her. Just met her in the future. There's no expansion on this relationship.
Yeah, I agree there that I felt like the story was rushed. They could have developed their relationship a little more. Like your movies, for instance, the first movie went into their friendship, while the second movie explored their relationship and liking each other. And I just feel like he kind of was he didn't want to make a full-length movie. He just wanted to be more of a short film, so he rushed some points that shouldn't really be rushed in a movie.
But with the writing and the scenes that were chosen, there was more devotion towards world building in a world that we didn't really see, as opposed to the relations of the characters that we did see.
Yeah. And I think that perfectly leads into our next topic, which is characters. I feel like he did Peter good.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. The actor who plays Peter, oh my gosh. He did so good.
Should I always assume that you're gonna be late every day?
It's not like that, Harry. Those things just happen sometimes, alright? You know I don't have great time management skills.
Whatever, man. What's new in your life?
Not much. You know my life is pretty dull. You?
Nothing going on with me. What would anyway? School is boring.
Man, I don't know your name. You did an amazing job. Oh man. You got the quirkiness down of Peter. You got the whole I mean, you got Peter down. And also another, maybe my favorite character in the whole movie, Miguel. Oh man, whoever played Miguel did an outstanding job. I really love the character of Miguel, and that was one of the really only characters that they developed on. Miguel, I felt like Peter, he was fleshed out, But I wish they could have done more with MJ, Ned, and especially Matt Murdock. Like in the scenes where they're in the classroom, Matt Murdock, they referenced, like they said he's in the classroom, but we didn't really get to see it. I don't know if it was scheduling days, like maybe he wasn't there during those days, but I feel like they could have done more with Matt Murdock.
Also, to that point, why would you attempt to introduce more characters if you don't show them? I feel like it sort of has like the Spider-Man 3 issue where it's introducing a lot of characters, but you don't really get like a lot of development because of how many there are.
What do you think?
I think the character development, like what we've been saying, was okay. It wasn't the best, but the acting was on par. It was really good acting.
I agree.
Especially with Peter, and I agree with you there. Because for like 6th and 7th graders, it was really good acting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they really haven't had time, and the classes we get to like develop their acting skills.
Oh yeah.
And I thought the acting was actually one of the best things about it.
All right. Let's do cinematography. I mean, I know we already touched upon it a bit, but we haven't really like dug deep into it. I'll start off. Like Christian said, some of the shots, they were pretty static. I felt like they didn't have any personality to them, which I think if you're like a starting director, you should build your personality right now. You should start with like be creative with your shots so you can get that known.
Expand into more close-ups. I feel like an issue that a lot of student filmmakers have now is just trying to get wide shots. And that's mostly it cinematography-wise. Yeah, I felt like there wasn't that much usage of different angles and whatnot.
Yeah, I feel like, other than the fights, because the fights had really good cinematography, that most of the classroom scenes and like scenes at school and stuff, and a lot of the shots just felt repetitive at one point. Like 2 shots, like they didn't get many close-ups in the classroom scenes, and I was like, maybe show a little more dialogue, like the conversation a little more.
Yeah.
Each person's facial expressions.
Yeah.
The final shot, the slow zoom out, I think.
Oh yeah,
was
that was the best.
One of the better shots of the film.
At first, it was a little janky. I'm gonna be honest, it was a little janky. But then, I don't know, it kind of had like a double cut for some reason, and it had that slow zoom out, which I really like. Fight choreography. What do you guys think?
That was really good. I really liked all the fight choreography. It was really well done, and it made it seem like it was more physical than a lot of fights I've seen in other movies.
I agree. There were some moments where you can see that punches and kicks don't really land, but that's to be expected for
people grow out of that fan filmers.
Yeah.
VFX. Oh man.
Oh no.
VFX is where it gets you. Oh man. Okay, first I would like to point out the Mysterio illusion scene. Oh man. I don't know where to start with this. Okay. First off, Mysterio's costume. I don't know what that was. He's like Ant-Man mask on. Oh man, I don't.
You didn't, for that, I don't think he even had to do the glow pad. He could have just done the green suit with the purple K, red, whatever color it was.
Right. Oh, back to what I was saying. I felt like the VFX for middle school was really good. For middle school. But for if you're going to do a sequel, I would suggest you maybe hiring like a VFX artist, or maybe try and find better assets, because like the green mist, the green explosions, all that.
What the hell? Oh my God! No way!
I mean, Hobgoblins Revenge, my first film. I can literally like trash my own film. My first film did not have great VFX at all.
Ghost Spider-Man.
Ghost Spider-Man. Oh, man, I hate the VFX in that film. But one of the sequences in the Mysterio scene that I really like, which I know you took inspiration from Far From Home, maybe even copied it a bit, but is when he punches the brick, the whole little slab, which I thought was pretty well done. What do you guys think? VFX.
I agree. The VFX could definitely use some work, but overall for freshman like debut, it's really good. But typically you'll improve for your like sophomore film. It's usually always better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, VFX weren't good, like flat out weren't good. But it's not terrible for your first film, like you guys been saying. As we're not trying to make you have any like doubt here.
Yeah.
Like,
Alright.
this
We're
is
just
just
giving
your
you-
first film. We're just giving you an honest review here. But your effects will improve over time. Like for Joel here, first Spider-Man, terrible VFX.
Oh,
like
yeah.
flat out terrible VFX. And then beyond negative, and what we've seen in the Ant-Man trailer, it's getting better and better.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's gradually getting better.
No way.
What else?
How about we give like a review and a score out of it, like each of us.
Okay. Oh, lastly, let's move on to music.
I think sound design is a
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, sound. That's what we're.
Well, this classroom has been abandoned for about a few years now, and nobody ever checks up on it, so we use that as a base.
Didn't like sound. The too many reused sounds and impacts did were more whooshing as opposed to
Yeah,
like
more
an
wishing.
actual-
Yeah, that's what I was. And then like the dialogue, like some of the scenes were just
yeah.
peaking, like peaking audio
Peaking
levels.
the audio was
And
mixed
then
kind of poorly.
one of the scenes with MJ when they were, I think it was them talking in the little when they were sitting down at the bench. Man, I heard the music more than I heard the dialogue. Like I can get what they were saying, how the world building MJ was telling telling Peter how it's like in 2099. But man, the audio, the music was just up here and the dialogue was just down here.
Like, yeah, the audio sweetening was kind of another mishit for him, but he probably doesn't use the same audio software we use, which allows us to raise and lower each audio.
Well, that's just another tip for the editor. Like maybe like look into like the nice sweet range. Make sure you're in that green range. Make sure you can have a little bit yellow, but make sure it's not up in the red. Man, don't have it up in the red.
I want to talk about something real quick in that setting, and I just didn't feel like it was futuristic enough to feel like it was like 50 years, or like 70 years from the set time. Like, I would have done like different like green screen shots just to make it look like it's a more modern.
Well, that's the thing with Mysterio's
That's
camera.
another thing. He's very critical. You're very critical of people using green screen, but I feel like in this sort of setting, you would have greatly benefited from it because there's no real like showing that it's set in the future, which I feel like you don't really need the scenes of world building if you're not going to show the world. Because I'm like just sitting on the bench. That's not very
It's
telling
not
thing.
effective.
It's
not
not
effective.
yeah. It's not a very
The
telling thing
dialogue-
of that it's in the future. The dialogue may help.
The
but
dialogue may help, but visually, it just
Yeah,
it doesn't give you the impact that is in the future.
Like maybe a few more like just shots of the city itself.
Maybe it's shots of the
establishing
city
shots.
itself.
That's
Right.
another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
I
kinda,
didn't see
just
any-
jump right in.
Yeah, I didn't
to
see
stuff.
any establishing shots, establishing where we were in either the current world or the
Speaking
future
of world building, I want to touch back on the characters real quick. Speaking of world building, it felt like these characters were just like one-dimensional.
They were very one-dimensional, but you can't really get like a three-dimensional, like fully fleshed out character in the amount of time that he was given for the film.
Or with the script he wrote.
Yeah, or with the script.
Yeah. And I felt like there was just a lot of unnecessary characters there. Like Yuri, I really, I mean, other than giving the device so Peter can go home, I felt like she wasn't really needed.
There were a lot of characters.
I feel the same like that for a lot of characters.
And
Like,
Matt Murdock, he was not needed.
Matt Murdock,
Yeah.
and a couple of other characters weren't really needed.
Oh yeah.
For a first film, there shouldn't have been so many different villains. I feel like, like so many different antagonists shouldn't have been introduced for how long was it?
30 minutes.
30 minutes? Yeah, 30
And-
minutes was nowhere near enough time.
And Kingpin. I felt like if Kingpin is in the title, Kingpin of Time, and Kingpin is your main antagonist, you should have built more on Kingpin. A lot.
Like show some scenes of just him or him talking to his like
Her.
accompanist or her in
Yeah.
this case, talking to his accompanist. Like what we did with Beyond Negative, we just showed Kingpin's like angriness and like devotion to what he wants to do.
Yeah, I felt like maybe showing his motive would have been better. But anyways, let's try to cut this a little short. What would you give your review out of 10? Like a rating?
Overall, critically, I would probably give it a 2 out of 10, but for like understanding the circumstances, I would probably give it a 6.
I agree with that ranking because like
Well, what would you give it?
I would give it maybe a 3.5 critically because there are a lot of things wrong with it. But since it was his first film and he's gonna learn from this, I'd give it like maybe a 5.86.
Okay. I seen where this guy was coming from. I love the story. There's just a lot of things that were like not adding up. Critically, I would give it like a 5 out of 10. But casually, like just by all means, it's a fun movie to watch. We're not like here to bash on you or anything. We're just giving you critiques. It was a fun ride. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But casually, I'll probably give it like a 6 or 5.5 out of 10.
Alright. Anything else? You wanna get to the movie?
No closing thoughts?
Hated this movie.
Oh, man.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't think there were some decisions that I thought that it could be better.
Thank you for watching Mysterious Cameraman.